Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is the week 12 breakdown. So let's get started here with last week. So what I wanted to focus on last week was max 2 meetings per week, documenting pain points, 1 attempt at least to solve the problem, and waking up at 4 a.m. So we'll go down with like if it failed or not. Should I still persevere in that change, or what changes I'm making to those points and why? Okay, so max 2 meetings. Why did I fail that? I mean, I kind of booked 4 meetings already, but even on, I think, a singular day, I had 3 meetings, and those were brand new meetings that I booked throughout the week, because I understood that you genuinely need to talk to the people. It's too important not to talk to the people. And also, there's also a point to be made for talking to people, not even in construction, but talking to people who have done it before. Like any person who's done a startup before, they can tell me what mistakes they made so I don't make them again. And that's been a game changer. Like every time I talk to anyone who's like further along in thinking than I am, they can kind of suss out every time I made a assumption rather than like a first principle fact. So that's been really helpful, just having them by my side and like kind of, since I don't have a co-founder, it's like they're my co-founder for that 1 hour, and it's really great. So I don't want to stop doing that. I still want to talk to great people. So I'm not persevering in that anymore. I'm just gonna talk to as many people as I can, and then yeah. So that's the change as well. Talking to as many people as I can, documenting pain points. I know I said I'd do this last week, but I didn't. So yeah, that kind of sucks. So why did I fail? Because honestly, it's a lot of work to document pain points, and the database I have right now, maybe it's not the best to work with. So I'm gonna implement new changes. So I'm definitely persevering in documenting pain points. And the way I'm gonna change it is I bought the Notion business plan. So now when I take meeting minutes, it will automatically go in there. That way I can kind of have a centralized hub. So that should make it a whole lot easier. And there is just a ton of, I guess, rote work in just managing and organizing every single one. And I'm just gonna like dedicate a couple hours to that and not let that get pushed back. Because honestly, that's such a big thing. And then 1 attempt to solve the problem. So the reason I failed to do it, because like I still don't have a real good definition of a problem. And now looking back, I don't see it as a terrible thing. So yeah, like there's no point in taking shots on goal if I'm taking shots in the dark. So so yeah, attempts. I'm just gonna I failed it, and I'm changing it to something else. I'm changing it to focusing in on one singular workflow. So I have to find a workflow, a person, and a block within construction. And I'll explain what I meant in a bit here. And then the 4 a.m. So Monday, I woke up at 5, and then 4:30, 6:30, 8 o'clock, 7. So it's been all over the place. Been coming home really late. And yeah, that's kind of why I failed. And another big thing is we pray as soon as I get home. And sometimes that takes time, but like I don't think I want to skip out on that just because I feel like right now it's like my family, but later it's gonna be like my wife and kids. So I don't want to set the precedent of skipping out on family. So I want to keep that as a core tenet. But what I can improve on is taking my laptop to my bed and just like watching videos or like listening to podcasts. I kind of see it. I kind of like take it as a productivity hack, and I'm like, oh, like I can listen to like whatever founders, but like I should just be really sleeping. And then also like I've been had sleeping masks and earplugs, and so I'll start using that more, and then just reading before bed. I actually did that for these 3 days that I woke up early. I did that, and then Wednesday I had a headache, and that day I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna start listening, and I kind of derailed it. So for next week, yeah, make documenting easier, Notion AI, and then just a lot of I'm just gonna front load a lot of the work. So the setup is gonna take longer, but every time I work on the system, it's gonna be better. And then instead of waking up at 4, I think I'm just gonna wake up at 5. I think it just works a little bit better, and then that way I have an hour to think, and then we can still improve on that 5, get it to a 4 or 4:30, and then so in order to realize the next goals, I want to meet 17 people in residential construction, and I'll kind of break down how I got to that in the next. So I want to define what I meant by a block and really hone in on how construction kind of works from an outside perspective. And this is just an assumption, honestly. Like, I'm not too like, I think this is how it works, and this is what people have told me, and this is what I've put together. But obviously, there could be some mistakes. So first things first, construction life cycle. Let's go back. Let's take one step back and look at the abstraction as a business. The goal of a business is to make money. So right here, we're putting in $1. We want $1.25 over 2 years. That's the goal of any business. And so taking that, now looking back at it from the construction life cycle, the point is to get that money, right? And so these are the steps. So you have to find the lot. You have to do something called underwriting, which is you're basically looking at the lot, looking at what you can build on it, looking, okay, like what's the bylaw here? What do you think the government's going to let you build here? Is there a school or a university nearby? Is it young parents that move in this neighborhood? Is it rich people? Should we build like an apartment because there's a university right there because of students? Or should we build houses because there's schools, and there would be like young couples that want to start families. So that sort of analysis would be underwriting. The second one or the third one would be getting your loan, and then that's when you get your permits and you get ready to build, and then you sell or lease, what have you, to make that money, right? And so this can be one or more companies. This entire flow, like bigger builders like Cantero, Brookfield Residential. I don't know if it's residential, Brookfield. Like there's a lot of companies that just do all of this in-house. So, but there are certain companies that sell these services. For example, I work as a site laborer for a builder, so they're only doing this. They're not worried about the loans, underwriting, or finding the lot. And big builders have like entire departments and like people dedicated to doing these certain things. And so, like a huge issue that I've been having is, like, since construction is so big, like figuring out which one has the most friction. So no one really knows the whole thing that well. Even the guys that have been in for 20, 30 years, they don't know which part has the most friction because they're personally not in it. Most people specialize in one. So maybe I should be trying to find it, but most people do specialize in one. And so I'm just gonna stick to builder. I'm just sticking to build because I think there's a lot more opportunity there, and I'll explain why. Builder. So we have pre-construction, that's your tender, your bidding. So you wanna win the job, you wanna price it out, you have to do your estimations, make sure you win that job. Estimating takeoff, I actually don't know what takeoff is, so I'll have to look into that. And then estimating, saying like how much would it actually cost, and then you have to get your permits. Demolition, site prep, framing, roughing, so that's your mechanical, your plumbing, your HVAC. Not like the whole thing, they're not putting sinks in, they're just putting in like the tube for the sink, I guess. And then drywall installation, it's just like you're batting, and then you put your drywall, and then there's like mud, and there's a whole lot of things, and then you're finishing. That's your cabinets. That's when you put your hardware in, your sinks, your tubs, not your tubs, sorry, your sinks, and then you kind of like finish it up. And painting is right after installation. So that's builders right there. And so this is the builder org chart. So they work with an investor, owner, project management team, and they have the lead project manager and an admin that helps with like supplies, procurement of materials, and just like subcontractor management, and just a lot of help on the admin side. And then you have your site super, the guy that's actually on the site, who looks at the trades. They come in and they're helping. He's basically making sure that every trade has what they need to do their job. But then everywhere, pretty much, the subtrade material and equipment, that's all contracted out. That's never the same. Like sometimes for like I think Brookfield, Kentiro, those guys have entire teams that do the entire scope. So they're vertically integrated. That means they have drywall people, they have electricians, they have the plumbers on site because they have so much volume and they're ready to build. But these guys don't, and there's a lot of like subtrades that are really good at what they do, and that's kind of why they go with that. But so starting from the massive problem, now we've distilled the construction life cycle into the builder, and now we're looking at the org chart and the how construction flows. So then what I'm trying to do is find somewhere in the org chart that needs the most help, in my opinion. And there's two contending theories that I have. One theory is project management. So there's a lot of data coming in right now, and we can use AI to clean it up 110%. And it's gonna be the infrastructure already exists, so the AI implementation is not too far away. It's not, I don't think it's a crazy hard problem to solve, and I do think it's gonna happen on its own. Like there's no way, it's like anyone can see it pretty much. And people have already, like everyone, like the Procore, JobTread, any company that's managing their project management data is already on AI and trying to implement it. And I think they have the first movers advantage because they're holding their data. So it's like, it's just like becomes easier for them. But I still think there's 110% room for innovation in that space. But the other one that no one talks about is actually the sub-trades and the site super on site. So since the information exists and it's on the internet, it actually makes the problem easier to solve, which means there's probably a lot of people trying to solve it, and it might not be like, there's going to be more competition first of all, and it's easier to solve. Like real talk, it's easier to solve because so much of it already exists. So I'm kind of in the crossroads. Should I do that or focus on the first principles? Like the number one thing about construction, if you follow the blame, it always gets blamed to the subcontractor or the site laborer, because it's always the guy on the site doing the job. It's always his fault. So if we can improve the bottom line, the weakest link, which is the human doing the job, I feel like every single, like the whole industry will change, because every single thing upstream from that will have to change as well. Because let's say management gets really well, or like gets really good. It doesn't matter if your employees are bad, if your subcontractors and the guys actually doing the work are just bad. There's a limit to how much money you could make, because if your bottom line is leaking, right? But what if you start with the bottom? And the reason starting with the bottom is so hard is because it's such a chaotic environment. Like no one knows if it's gonna snow tomorrow. Like the weather for the last month has been crazy, and it set us back like a month, at least a month. Just because like if you want to put drywall in, it has to be like 10 degrees or 5 degrees, right? And so there's things like that just make it like a very hard problem to solve. But that also excites me because like that means there's less people working on it, and it's a real problem. And there's a real like labor shortage happening right now. And so what I think is going to happen is the labor shortage will cause labor, like the blue collar jobs, to go up in value. And it has to, because supply and demand, right? But then what everyone talks about is we need to get more people into labor. But the other side of that conversation is how can we make the single laborer more productive? And the scary thing about that is, like, I'm pretty confident, like I'm pretty technical, like I think I can code, and then AI makes it like super easy to code. But with hardware, mechanical implementations, I'm so lost. So like I'm gonna have to learn that part, and yeah, so it's a harder problem to solve. But ultimately, it'll take much longer, and it's harder to scale as well. Because if it's a hardware problem that you're selling, you always have to manufacture it, and then there's margins on that. Whereas software, it's like you build it once, whoosh, you're deploying and you're done. Call it a day. But yeah, that's kind of it. And then this is like the people that I've talked to in the industry. So I've talked to 3 owner CEOs, 1 project manager, 1 site soup, and then 2 investors. So that's 6 people total. And the reason I haven't talked to as many people as this is because a critical assumption that I made, but that I think is wrong, is I was working as a site laborer. I was seeing like these people every single day. So I was like, hey, like maybe I can get away with just talking to 1 guy, 1 site soup, 1 PM, 1 owner. But I realized that was a fatal error, so I'm gonna go out, try to talk to at least 1 more PM, 1 more admin person, 2 more site soups, and as many sub trades and material, equipment people as I can. And yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I actually love the support. I honestly feel like we're building together as a community because of all the cheer that I get. But yeah, thank